Well, in 1970, my dad got ill with what appeared to be a stroke, and it was kind of an ongoing issue, which stroke is usually not like that. They had to rule out whether he had a stroke or what was going on. So he ended up in Barnes Hospital in St. Louis at the age of 59, and he had a brain tumor, inoperable. And I was with Mother a lot during those awful days down there, and I felt so helpless because I didn't know what they were talking about and I didn't think there was anything I could do about his care. He was in a 4-bed ward, and I just didn't think that he was being taken care of very well. And I just decided right then I wasn't gonna let this happen to me any longer. Next time anybody in my family got that sick or there was something going on like that, I would know what was going on. So I figured out that by that time Beth was, she'd been born in 1967. So, I started back to school at Richland College, and I took courses at night and sometimes in the daytime.
So what year was that? What year?
I'm trying to pinpoint what year it was, because I didn't graduate from there until 76. So it took me 3 years to get through with 2 years of coursework.
So Beth was fairly young.
Yes, she was. And so after, they told us at the time, especially some of us older students, maybe you don't want to go into education and teaching because it's a full, it's very hard to get a job locally. Maybe you better try something else. Well, I already knew I kind of wanted to be a nurse, but I didn't think I had, the discipline for it. It's a very demanding job, but I went out to Decatur Memorial and started talking to them, and they asked me if I could tolerate a sink full of dishes and the bed's unmade and things needing to be done around the house. And I said, yeah, I think I can deal with that. And they said, well, how about your family? And I said, well, they'll just have to. So at that time, Susan was old enough, to kind of help with Beth, and she did. And of course, Bill would be there at night too. So some nights I would come home from wherever I was, and there they would be watching Cell Block 11 or Benny Hill or something like that. And this would be late at night, But anyway, I enjoyed my classes, and I really enjoyed the nurses training, and never did work full time. I always worked about 3 days a week, and that gave me a flex schedule for me. I didn't need the benefits because I had the benefits that other people have to have. And
You worked at Decatur Memorial?
I worked at Decatur Memorial for, I'm going to say, about 20 years.
What units were you in?
And when I first started, I chose to work, well, they wanted me to work there, on the 4th floor, and there were maybe 60 beds on that floor. And it was all med-surg. Most of them had been to surgery, and we took care of them after. And when I first started the job, we had 3 to 11 shift, and there would be 2 of us with all of those beds, and we had 2 LPNs and some nurse aides to help us admit those people the night before they were going to go to surgery. So it was a lot of history taking and a lot of prep work we did enemas, and in one case, one of the memorable things that we did for people getting cataract surgery, the ophthalmologist would direct us to trim the eyelashes on those people before they went to surgery, which is a very, and well, it's scary to even think about that we did that with this little tiny scissors. But also those people, they were not outpatient. They stayed for 6 or 7 days after their surgery, and the first few hours they had the sandbags by their heads, so they wouldn't move their heads. But I guess they found out that wasn't an issue anymore. They don't do it that way. But then I worked oncology. I liked that side of it since I had been through that with my dad. And those people, you got to know their family, and we saw them come in and stay for, sometimes they'd get to go home, sometimes they didn't get to go home, they didn't make it. But during the 80s, during the AIDS epidemic, we had several of those patients, and we took care of those people on oncology. And it was, some people were afraid, until they knew that that wasn't the way you get it. So whenever the oncology department left the hospital, I elected not to go with them. So that's pretty much when I retired. Plus the
Okay.